Hey everybody, welcome back. Gonna start a brand new build series. Yep, I know I wasn't gonna do any more, but I got a cool kit. I thought, you know what? I'll share it with you guys. So part number one, and run every Friday as always. And we're gonna do this guy, Kinetic's EA-6B Prowler in 48 scale. So back with a new build series. Now it's been over a year since I did the F-16 Aggressor, and as you know, follows my channel will know, I kind of got burnt out. I did constantly every single Friday for about 4 or 5 years. I did a build series of about 26, I think 26 or 28 different subjects over that time, and I just found myself getting a little bored, kind of doing the same thing over and over again, a lot of repetition because same techniques, same methods. So I showed 10 times how in a row how to put decals on, for example. Now took a break, and I say it's been a year, and recently I've had quite a few people reach out with some very kind comments about watching some of this old footage from a few years ago, some of these build videos, and really getting inspiration and really helping them do their builds. And for me, that's the whole purpose of doing this. And I kind of stopped because, well, not only because of all the repetition, and monotony of doing it over and over again, but also my views kind of went down as well. I went from a few thousand per week to a few hundred, and at time it wasn't really worth, for a few hundred views, it wasn't worth the time and effort to do it, and it was kind of take away from my hobby. So I had some really positive feedback recently, and I thought, you know what, let's do it. I got an inkling, let's do another build series. So here we are with the Prowler. Now, as always, we're just every Friday, follow along and break it down section by section. Hopefully you do find this one interesting. Also, I think things have changed a little bit. I've got a whole new studio. I think I've got better setup, better lighting, better camera, better audio. I think like, for example, like the F-16 32nd scale from about 3 or 4 years ago, there's some focusing issues and various things with the camera. Now I think we pretty much got it down. I think I can do a much better quality video. So yeah, that being said, enough waffling, let's get into the build. So we're going to start with the cockpit. Now, the beauty with this guy, well, the beauty is the cockpit, 4 seats, all that glass work, you're really going to see inside here. So the cockpit's going to be the main feature point, plus all the weathering. And these get weathered up, so the whole, fuselage and wings and stuff are going to be, gnarly, pretty gnarly, like weathered up. So that's kind of the main focus on this. So it's going to be on the ground. I'm going to do wings extended. I just, looking around my models, whenever I do wings folded, I think it just takes away from the lines of the aircraft. So I know for you purists come out that most of the time when this is parked, the wings can be folded, but I found reference material where it's been parked at certain airfields or wherever, even on the carrier deck, and it's been parked canopy open with the wings out. So that's what we're going to do. So we're not going to do the markings, the Playboy markings on here. I got some different decals. So I did buy this boxing because it was actually cheapest I could find, and it came with a tractor too, which is kind of cool. So not going to go with these markings. So these markings are from about late 70s. Now I couldn't believe it that Prowler was around late 70s. I thought it's a lot newer than that. I know it's been retired since then, but the markings we're going to go with are like late 90s. So same aircraft, just upgraded markings here. And I've got these cool ones from Custom Aeronautical Miniatures, or CAM. Now, you can find these on eBay pretty cheaply and pretty easily. So the gauntlets, and really cool here with that kind of like the Blue Angel's blue tail with some red brown in there, and you've got, I'm not sure what the animal was. I thought originally it was like a beaver, but I think it might be a panther. But maybe you can put in the comments below if you know exactly what animal that is. Wait, there we go. But anyway, so we're going with this cool markings. I think it was from like 96 or 99, and fewer extras. So we're going to have a mast set because of the windows. We've got as I mentioned, the cockpit's going to be really the kind of main focal point here. So Quinta Studios, now this isn't cheap at all, but it needs it, I think, in this set. So we've got the Quinta Studios, which we can use today, the instrument panels, both the front and back. Beautiful set. And I've used the Intruder, I've used a set, and it really makes a difference. And I've got some ejection seats too. These are Quickboost, pretty cheap, set of 4, about $13 maybe. So some resin seats. We've got the cockpit instrument panel set, which is going to make a huge difference. And that is pretty much it. The rest is going to be out of the box. Now, I have built one of these before about 5 years ago. I don't know if you remember, if you've been around the channel that long. Wasn't a build series, and a couple of mistakes. I forgot to put the exhausts before I put the fuselage together, so I had no exhausts in there. And then the decals were terrible. The Kinetic decals just cracked on the tail. It was a different markings, but it just cracked, and I just put it away on the shelf of doom. And then when I moved house a few years ago, I just threw it away. So I do have some experience building this kit. Now, again, we're going to mitigate that by having these aftermarket decals. So hopefully these ones are a little bit more manageable and not going to crack and all that kind of stuff. If they do, then we can source some other ones. No problem at all. I did hear some of these boxings, maybe different ones, have one-piece canopies. Unfortunately, on this one, the canopies are two-piece. So you have a canopy at the front and the back. So it's two, and a two-piece. So we do have to glue together two pieces, which we'll take care of with some when the time comes. So that's not ideal, but you do have like multiple piece clear parts. And the instructions, pretty rudimentary. You know, follow along here. Now, the box is a big box, kind of full of plastic, but it's a little deceptive. Now, this aircraft is about the same size, if not a little smaller than an F-14. And the parts-wise, it probably has less parts than a Tamiya kit. So the Tamiya kit, I think, is more of a flatter, wider box, whereas this is more of a shorter, kind of chunkier box, stacked up the way the sprues are. So give you an idea of size. There we go. We've got that. That's basically the fuselage. And to be honest with you, there's not a lot in here. There's half a dozen sprues. So nice lot of detail, but not crazy amount. And the main one here is this bag right here. Excuse the rustling. The cockpit tub, which we're going to work on first, and you can see again the 4 seats. So that kind of gives you an introduction of what we've got going on. Again, this is every Friday I'll release a video, as is kind of tradition, I guess, and we'll go from there. So again, cockpit today. I'm going to switch the camera around, start cutting these off the sprue, and we'll get going building the cockpit tub. All right, so down on the bench, and we can kind of look at these parts in a little bit more detail now. So instructions, first page is what we're basically going to do today. Is the game plan in today's episode, and basically the cockpit tub. So actually, I took the sprue out of the box here. It's not too bad actually out of the box. I mean, hold my hand behind it. Actually, nice detail on these instrument panels. If you a bit of a hand painter, you can actually make it look not so bad. Now, again, here's the parts. Well, these parts. Obviously, that's a jamming pod. We're going to need. So we're going to spice it up, as I mentioned, with 2 things. So we've got the Quickboost. Here's a number of the seats. Again, these are really cheap, and they have the seat belts ready molded in, which I like because I don't like doing photo etch. So I've got 4 seats to paint up, which keep me busy, and I've got the Quinta Studios set. Now there's 2. There's the smaller version or a larger version. I think the only difference between the 2 is the large version has seatbelt straps and a few other little things. Now, obviously, we don't need that because we have seatbelts ready molded in. Although in the past, I've put the Quinta Studios on top of the molded seatbelts. Actually, looks really good. It gives them more depth. But it was like $15 more. So as I have the seats, I don't think there's no point, paying all that money. So I think the large version is about $50. I think this one was about 35-ish. I think I bought it a few weeks ago, so I can't quite remember. But for me, this is essential. I mean, if you just look at that detail, how awesome it looks. Now, I've done videos in the past of how to do these, and I'll explain a little later in the video. But basically, just dip it in water to release them, and then with some white PVA glue, just glue it to the plastic. But you also got the front and the back, and all the side panels as well. And it also has a nice sheen on the displays, so that glass kind of look. So big fan of these. I know not cheap, but they definitely do make things look better. And with an aircraft like this, where you've got glass all around it, you can see inside it. Unlike like a MiG-21, for example, where you're not going to see inside the cockpit, right? So it's not even worth doing it. But on this one, it's pretty prominent. So first thing we're going to do here is basically just cut the pieces off we need. Seats obviously don't have to worry about because we're going to go with the resin seats. So let's think about this. So yeah, so I'm gonna cut the resin seats off the block to make sure they fit into the cockpit tub, cut all these pieces off, and then what we're gonna do then, once the pieces are cut off, is we're gonna sand away all the detail. If I pull out these little instructions here, it basically shows you know what to sand off. Remove, it's got a star right there, you remove that detail. So basically all around, all along here, all of this stuff, we're going to sand off an all instrument panel, make it smooth, and then we'll start applying these. So it looks like I got a bit of work ahead of myself, so I'm going to start getting these parts removed and cleaned up, and we'll come right back. Making a little progress here. So started sanding off this simply. This is an old Flory Models medium sanding stick. Now you can't buy these anymore, but I've got tons. So basically just all the detail, all the, now like the throttles and stuff you leave on, but all like the buttons and stuff, you're basically just sanding off. And it has to be perfect because you got panels that go on top of these. So just sanding off all the detail, as I've done here, glued that little guy in, put instructions, the back wall's looking good, and the instrument panels, again, this one's slightly easier than this one. There's a lot of lumps and bumps. So it's a small sanding stick and taking your time, basically just sanding away all the detail to make it kind of smooth. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of get these lumps and bumps removed. And like all the screens and the buttons, which I know is kind of scary, but just sanding all the way. And you don't want a too fine sanding stick, otherwise you'll be here all day. Like a medium or coarse is fine. And you can see there, you know, just sanding away that detail in preparation for the Quinta Studios. So I'm just going to, off camera, go through and, you know, sand. And this one's going to be a little trickier too, because all the lumps and bumps. I'm just going to go ahead and sand all this away off camera. Starting cutting seats away from the blocks. Now these are resin seats. Now my little health and safety disclaimer is that resin is kind of not good for you. So it's kind of like a little bit like asbestos. You don't get the dust on your lungs. So you want to ideally wear a mask if you're working on big resin projects. Also, if you're just cutting a couple of blocks off here. And another nice tip is to have a wet paper towel underneath, which gathers all the dust. Now I have got a little desk vacuum here, which works really good. So in my case, I'm just going to, this last one, I'm just going to cut it on the mat and then immediately suck up all the dust with this little desk vacuum from Amazon, like 10 bucks. Cut it off the block. My nice organ harvesting saw here. No, it's a simple Zona saw, about $5, $6, pretty cheap. I think they're really for balsa wood, that kind of thing. But, you know, obviously a bigger blade, so I can cut through the block. And just going to take my seat here and just along the bottom of, line up the bottom of the seat, and as you can see, it makes short work. And again, you want to wear a mask for this resin stuff. Okay, and then you cut the block away, jump right in the trash, wipe away the dust off my tool, and a bit of this old sanding sponge. Just going to sand it. And there we go, it's off the block. Now, first thing I'm going to do is get rid of all this dust, and you can see all the dust right here, which is not good for you. And with my little vacuum, and like that, it's gone. Clean. So again, wet paper towel underneath can work pretty good too. So this is pretty shot. I've had this for a while, probably ready for the trash. But anyway, so we've got them cut off the block, and what I'm going to do next is just take them in the house, put them in a little bowl of soapy water, like dish soap, just to wash off any mold release agent or any kind of all the dust and stuff, and just let it air dry for like an hour, and then they're ready to paint. Now, normally I put seats in last, but seeing how tight this is, I think it's a bit of a squeeze. They do fit in, but it's so tight. And we've got all these instrument panels to go around, so I'm thinking I might paint and put the seats in first, and then do the instrument panels afterwards, or the side panels or the buttons once the seats are in, which is kind of backwards, but in this case, again, it's just like such tight fit in there. I don't want to kind of fall around and damage anything after the fact, so I want to get them in first. But you can kind of see how they look. Definitely a nice upgrade, and once they're painted, they look pretty awesome. So I'm going to take these out. I'm going to run in the house and, like I said, give them a quick wash and continue with sanding down the rest of these so we're ready to go. All right, so a little update here, and as you can see, we've got primed and painted the cockpit tub. Now built it, put the backs in, put the seat in, the stick, these little parts right here. Sorry, it's out of focus. Now, typically, these modern kind of Navy jets or Air Force jets are painted light gold gray. Sorry, dark gold gray, which is your 317. Even like the A6, which this is based upon, is 317, which is the FS, dark gold gray, FS 36231. Now, painted a little darker, and the instructions call for dark ghost gray. So I went back and I looked at some other instructions, and I've got FS 36320, which is dark ghost gray, which is slightly bluer, which is number 307. Lack of paints, I use Guns Mr. Hobby 307. And so I missed it a little bit on there to create some color modulation, and it does actually look a little better. And now I look at the decals, they are a little bit bluer around the edges here. So I think it's a better match. So yeah, so instead of the usual darker 317, we're going with the 307. So instead of gold, we're going ghost. Right, kind of confusing, I know. So sprayed all this guys up. This thing should be black. And don't worry about the mess around the edges. It's covered up with decals. And you can see here, I just put a little blue tack on the back, or white tack, and a toothpick. Makes it easier to paint. And all the seats, same deal. Just drilled a tiny little hole in the bottom. And just put a toothpick in the bottom, and it makes it easier to hold, paint, and that kind of stuff. So Mr. Surface of 1500 black, which gives a really nice black color. And I just had some gray left in my airbrush, so I sprayed the cushions, just lighten them up. They'll be hand painted a different color. So I've got to hand paint all the seats. Obviously, there's 4 of them. The little cable kind of thing across the top here, that's not on the seats for some reason. It's not modded. So I tried 10 minutes bending some wire and couldn't really get it. So in the end, I just went to the plastic kit parts and just cut the plastic off and super glued it on for the guy at the top here. And if you compare it against the seat in the kits, this is a kit seat. This is the one we're going with here, the resin one. You can just see the difference in quality there. How much better the resin seats are compared to the these are the cushions as well. Again, a lot better, and it's not very expensive either for the 4 seats. Like I said, I think it was like $12. So there we go. So making good progress here. Just want to let the paint dry. Another top tip, while I had the paint in the gun, I just painted the insides the same color. And yeah, ready to go. So what's left to do now really is, once this paint dries, I want to get the seats painted up, get the seats in, and then we can start applying all the Quinta Studio decals. Okay, it's the following morning. You see, make some progress. The seats are done, and I've started putting a couple of these Quinta Studios details on. So happy with the seats, and you can see there. So quick rundown. They're not glued in; they're just kind of placed in, but they're very tight fit. I don't think I even need to glue them in. So basically, the cushions. Let me put this down a little bit here. So cushions were painted with khaki, which is I'm not a big fan of monocolor anymore. There's some of these are just too runny. The Vallejo game color, which is more wargaming paint, is way better. It's the thicker, more pigmented paint. If not, AK3 Gen acrylics are pretty good for hand painting too, I hear. But yeah, I have so many of these. Obviously, I'm not going to abandon them all. But if I was to do it again for hand painting and detail painting, I wouldn't necessarily go model color anymore. Like I said, I think there's better options out there. So khaki for the seats. Then I did just dark rubber black for the headrest, which is this bit right here. The straps I painted with blue gray pale, and then I gave everything a quick dry brush, all the black parts of quick dry brush of just aluminum, whatever, silver model. Now Model Air, which is airbrush paint, actually the metallics paint really well. Now don't get a brass or the gold, they're absolutely terrible. Like I mentioned earlier, too watery, but all the silvers are actually really good. So yep, quick dry brush. You kind of see, I'm sure you can see it so well on the camera here, but it's just like a subtle dry brush all over. Then I came back and with pale gray, and this is not necessary, but this is just something a little extra detail. And all the straps, I went through like edge highlighting. So what means basically just a little paint my brush, and just ran down the edge of all the straps just to kind of pick them out a little bit. Now I kind of, it's interesting, working on other genres like figure painting or Warhammer or whatever it may be. You pick up different skills, and this is kind of like we do when you paint like a figure. You kind of go through and edge highlight. I'll show you on the Java I painted. Now, bear in mind, I'm not a massive, amazingly good figure paint here. I'm just kind of learning my trade, but I can kind of show you on this Java. You see kind of edge there, how I painted it, and then the lighter colors came down all the edges and just picks it out, and it just makes it a little bit like round the hood, and just kind of picks things out a little bit. So same method I use basically with those straps. So straps I went through with that tiny little bit of this pale gray, just to kind of highlight it, and then I get everything at wash with Agrax Earthshade, which is basically just a, I've had this for years, basically just a brown acrylic wash, but it kind of works pretty good. So I gave everything a wash on the seat cushions, that is, kind of pick out all the detail. And then finally came back with the khaki and added a drop of white to lighten it, and same deal, edge highlighted. So I went around all the edges of the seats. Again, not sure how I can see on the camera. Edge of the seat just to highlight, pick it out and give it some more visual appeal. And that was it. I didn't clear coat anything. It obviously is going to start the cockpit up. I'm not touching it or anything, so it's fine. Other thing to note is paint the main colors, like there's cushions, and then the dry brushing. I like to use a flat brush. This is a Rosemary & Co. Series 768. I think it's a size 6. And then for the detail, I wouldn't necessarily run out and get this one, but I use the size, this happens to be a King Art. I'm trying different brushes out, but this is a size 2. I won't go any smaller than a size 2 for detail painting. If you get like the 1s, 0s, that kind of stuff, it just doesn't hold enough paint. It's actually easier to paint with like a 2 for me. That's my preference. So yeah, they're the brushes I used, and I started applying the Quinta Studios. And you can see here, I did this last night, how awesome it looks. And I'm also surprised, well, not surprised, but like the amount of buttons on here, like down the center on real life. I mean, it must take such a long time to learn how to fly these things and all the buttons and stuff. So I put in a couple of these things on. You can see now how I put the seats in first, just made things a little bit easier. So I'm going to run through putting one of these decals on with you guys. And basically, now I'll say Quinta Studios is different to Red Fox. Red Fox, you just take straight off the backing paper. With Quinta, you need to dip it in water to release it. Now, it's not a decal. Like, you still need glue. So let's start with, maybe the right side here, the instrument. So this is going to be number 29. So I'm just going to get my scissors here, cut number 29 out carefully. And I do like to use the Tamiya decal tweezers. This is one of my favorite tools to use. And basically, I'm just going to grab it, put it in some water. It can be cold water, hot water, doesn't make a difference. And it releases in a couple of seconds. In the meantime, glue. I'm a big fan of what you need: white glue or CA glue. White glue is better because you've got time to move it around, it doesn't stick instantly, and get it into place. And Gator Script, Gator glue has been around for years. This is a thin blend, which I like to use. It's really for photo etch. So it's basically just a PVA glue that's watered down. So if you can't find a thin blend, just get any PVA glue and just add a touch of water, just make it a little bit thinner. And as is tradition, kind of glues over the top here. So peel it off. A touch of glue. And what I'm going to do is with a toothpick, get a bit of glue, and just basically just wipe it on. All right, now I'm seeing this. Actually, I made a mistake, which is I didn't remove a raised part here, so it's going to affect the placement here. So let me grab some tool cutter real quick. There we go. Just want to remove that little lump. And then just going to get my decal. And I'm just kind of making sure which way around it goes here. It's a little hard to see. All right, so it goes this way around and just comes right off. And it leaves a gap at the front for the instrument panel, and just kind of line it up to the edge. And there we go. We'll do one more. Okay, so 31 at the back. Then dip it in some water. And while it's doing that, releasing itself on the paper, again, just add some glue. Let's kind of line it up a little bit here. And there we go. Easy as that. And it's going to look pretty awesome once it's done. So I've got about 30 of these things to add on this one. So I'm just going to go around at the rest, and then we'll come right back and you can see the finished product. All right, so about 30-45 minutes work, and you can see we're looking very awesome. So a couple things to point out on this guy back here. There is a little keyboard, and because these decals are kind of like floppy, you need something to support it on. So it says instructions here, make a base. Where is it? Where we're at here? Here. So what I basically did, got some plastic card, some thin plastic card, cut it really small, and just color it with black Sharpie to get, because it's white, and then just put the decal onto it, and then super glued it on. And I'm not sure if you can see it. What's the camera? You can see the little keyboard right there. So again, there's no way, I mean, my skills, I could paint anywhere near this. So these sets, although expensive, are pretty good. Do have 3 little decals left over. They go on the shroud, not on the actual cockpit itself. So the last thing I want to do here before I glue the last panel on is just give it a quick wash on the back wall, and simply take my Starship Filth Aptalon oil, and that's all I need. See, I just dab it. So I'm not making a ton of wash here. And then with some enamel thinner, and mix it up. And you want this kind of, you see how it's like translucent? That's kind of the consistency you want. Any thicker than that, it's just going to be, you know, take too much. And then this detail, like on the back here, literally just going to run this oil, wash over it. And I like the Starship Filth because it's a nice grimy color. You can see adding on the back here, on the front. And I mean, a lot of this is really covered up by instrument panels and switches and stuff, so it's not too much to do. Just really that back is what I wanted to catch. And when it dries, it's going to look pretty good. Just pick out all that detail. And again, you can see why I didn't make a ton of this stuff. I just need a little bit behind the seats. Maybe in the center here. And I think we're good with that. I mean, everywhere else is, again, covered in millions of switches. So almost there. So I'm just going to super glue this front, sorry, the rear panel on, and let this dry. And I think we'll be finished. Right, we're done. And how enjoyable was that? I absolutely loved using the Quinta Studios set and building these little carpet tubs. I'll zoom in a little bit in a minute and show you. First of all, you can see the instructions here. The first page, we are done. I think it's only 16 pages. So this is the main feature of the aircraft. Not many aircraft, have a cockpit tub like this, especially with 4 seats in. So it's really nice, to go to town and, create something pretty special. And as you can see, obviously out of the box, you have what you need, but we really kind of spiced it up. And the Quinta Studios isn't cheap, but I really do enjoy using it. It's a lot of fun, and this is probably, out of all the builds, this is one of the fun things. Out of all different stages of the build, this is one of the most fun things I like to do, just build these cockpit sets out with the Quinta Studios and some seats and making it look really awesome. So that being said, move this out of the way, and let's see how far I can zoom in here with the camera. And actually pretty well. It's a little bit darker on the camera than it is in real life. It's the lighting. But there we go. And as you can see, it looks absolutely awesome. And as I mentioned earlier, the amount of buttons and switches and stuff in this is unbelievable. And circuit breakers, it's tons going on in there. Very busy cockpit. And yeah, as I kind of turn around here, you get a look of the full look of what's going on here. And the seats. There we go. So hopefully you enjoyed that one. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. It really helps my channel out. And like I said, this is a multi-part one. Getting back in the groove. It's been a while, probably over a year since I've done one of these build videos. Hopefully you find this one, compared to my older videos, a little bit better quality, a little bit polished maybe, better lighting, camera, that kind of stuff. Obviously, we've upgraded over the last 5 or 6 years. But yeah, there we go. So I'll be back next week. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do next week in terms of the build, but we'll keep on going, keep on trucking. And thank you for joining me. I know there's plenty of options out there, and I really appreciate you spending the time with me today to see me build this beautiful cockpit.